What's up guys, ViprePV here, and today, well not today, but last week, Betaflight 4.0 was officially released. It's not a release candidate anymore, now it's a stable release, so now we can go ahead and start doing some guides on how to set everything up in Betaflight 4.0. A lot of stuff is the same, and there is some things different. So let's go ahead and go into Betaflight 4.0 and start from scratch. I'm going to flash my quad. I had a release candidate on it before, but we're going to go ahead and flash it with the stable release of 4.0 and set it up from the start. Alright guys, so the first thing you want to go ahead and do is go over to the GitHub and you want to go ahead and get the brand new Betaflight configurator. Now as of this recording, when I'm recording this, it's Betaflight configurator 10.5.1, but it could be 0.2, 0.3, whatever the newest one is. Just go ahead and scroll down here and install one for your system. Once you go ahead and install that to your system, then we'll be on to the next step. Now let me go ahead and open up. I already downloaded it and already installed it. So if you are brand new to Betaflight, you will need a quad in general. You will need to install these drivers right here, all three of them. And once you have all those three installed, a lot of times people won't have these installed and it won't even recognize your flight controller is connected to the computer. So make sure that these things right here are all installed and updated. Once you're done installing all these things, then what we have to go ahead and do is connect to it. We don't want to flash it just yet. We want to connect to it and then go to CLI and then type in version. And you should be able to find out what target your flight controller is and also what pretty much running Betaflight or Clean Flight or whatever, it'll pull up all in this general thing here and what version right there. See, I'm on 4.0.0, but I'm on a release candidate. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is we're going to flash the stable release. And how we're going to go ahead and do that is... Oh, and before we get to flashing too, if you want to do a dump of all your configurations so you know where smart audio is, what receiver you're on, all that, you can go ahead and do that and save that into a notepad. What I usually just do is I start with an all fresh install. Only thing I take note of is what UART my receiver is on and then what smart audio is on as well. And then I kind of briefly look at the configuration page and I just make sure I don't have like the board flipped or anything like that. But so once I'm done with all this, then we're going to go flash it. So I'm going to disconnect and then I'm going to leave this down in the video description as well, which will be the Impulse RC driver fixer, and it's a really easy way to just go ahead and get your board into DFU mode, so you can go ahead and flash the new firmware. And let's go ahead and get it right now. So it's going to DFU mode right now. You don't have to press any buttons, you don't have to do anything. All you have to go ahead and do is start up the program and it goes into DFU mode. Okay, whatever. I've never seen that warning before, but let's move on. So now we're in DFU mode. So now we're going into the firmware flasher. And pretty much what you want to do is find your flight controller, the one that you looked at version. So it'll be whatever, mine's DYS F4. So yours will be different if it's a different flight controller. And then you want to go ahead and click on 4.0.0, unless there's a newer one, 4.0.1, 0.2, whatever it will be. You want the newest one. And then make sure you have full chip erase enabled, load firmware online, and then go ahead and start flashing the firmware. So I'm gonna skip over this real quick. Once it's done, we'll go ahead and continue where we left off. Flashing is done. Now we're gonna go ahead and connect to Betaflight. So now we're on the main page here. I do not use auto level mode at all. But if you do use auto level, you can calibrate your accelerometer here, just make sure it's on a flat surface. Now for ports, I know from looking at it before that my receiver is on UART 3, and then also my smart audio for my Unify is on UART 6 on my flight controller. So pick whichever one you had, and then click save and reboot. And now we're going to go ahead and go over the configuration page. We're pretty much just going to go down all the pages, and then we'll probably get to some of the newer features and also some of the leader things. So Now I know I'm using D-Shot 1200, and I don't like the idle percentage that high, so I'm going to lower that down a little bit to 4.5. I just know my quad gets down there. You would know if this is your first time setting it up, you can leave it the default and then just fly with it. And if you feel like when you have zero throttle, it feels too floaty, you can lower it down. Really, the way to gauge that is you just pretty much arm your quad and try to get it as low as possible without stalling the motors or making them twitch. So over here, I'm going to go ahead and go to 8K since this is a MPU 6000 gyro. I do not use the accelerometer since I don't use auto level mode. The barometer can come off. And I do not have any problems with my board alignment, so I don't have to switch it up at all. And then I like to go ahead and put my craft name in here, which this is the source 2 frame. Oh, this is a source 1 frame. Source 1. And then I'm using Crossfire, so I'm going to go ahead and click on S-Bus, Serial Base Receiver, and then Crossfire right there. That's done. And then over here, I do not use the ESC telemetry, so I don't have that enabled. All this other stuff I do not need, but that will be dependent on how many UARTs you need. So like say if you need soft serial, if you don't have enough UARTs, that would all be handled right here. I do need telemetry, so I'm going to add that, put that on. And then I like to use the beeps for the motors, so I'm going to go ahead and click Receive Set. And then I leave everything else alone. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. And one other thing too, before I get too far ahead of myself, I just disabled the accelerometer, but I want to show you guys something really. I got a lot of questions on this, so I'm gonna go ahead and save and reboot it real quick here. So on the main page here, you can see my quad moving. I'm moving my quad around. So when I'm pointing down, it's down. When I'm going right, see it's mixed up here. Actually, no, it's right. That is right. Okay. Just want to make sure that's right. So you can do that, and then if it's all right and it's moving the way you're moving it in real life, then you can go ahead and go back to the configuration page and click the accelerometer off. Now, power and battery, that is going to be dependent on what you're running. I usually leave this alone. If you're using like ESC sensors, that's where you will go ahead and pick those. So say if you want the capacity or the voltage meter off of your like ESC or something like that, or your telemetry, you can use that here. But I'm not using that. I don't even have any of that hooked up, so I am going to skip that part right there. Now here is our rates. Now I have my own special rates that I always use, and I'm going to be doing that right here. I use RC rate of 1.05, and then super rate I use a 79. Get that all in there, and then I expo it 0.30. Since this is a freestyle quad I'm setting up, that's how I have my rate set up. I do have a little bit of different rates for my racing quads. Not too much off. Now we have these right here: smart feed forward, VBAT, and you have feed forward here as well. I leave this all alone and fly at default, and then if I don't like how it's flying or whatnot, I tune that out or I change these values. But I'm not going to be touching any of that stuff since this is a brand new flash. I-term rotation. Let's see here. I think they shut this off for a reason. Let's see here. Yeah, we don't need that. So all this stuff, I-term relax, yes. So all that stuff is perfect. Anti-gravity mode, we leave that on smooth. And then I leave everything else alone in here. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. And then this is your filter settings as well, right here. I will not touch any of this stuff until you fly it, and make sure you don't burn up your motors before you do it. Now we're going to go. I'm going to go to the receiver tab. Once it wants to let me click over there. Not letting me connect. All right, now I'm on receiver tab. Now I know mine is this one. And I know I may always have my OSD on my RSSI. I did a video on this actually just recently for Crossfire. And looks like that is it for in here. I'm gonna go ahead and put my radio on real quick and just make sure that everything is looking good on my receiver real quick. All right, I had to re-record this part of the video because Crossfire had a lot of interference with my audio. So anyway, I connected my battery, and right now, pretty much what you want to do is make sure when your throttle is down all the way, that you're showing 1,000 and then 2,000. Mine shows 2001, but that's okay because I just can't get it perfect. But you want to get it as close to 1,000, 2,000, and then make sure that all your like yaw, pitch, roll, and all that stuff is on the right channel, and it's also showing 1,000, 2,000. And then when you have no, when the sticks are in the middle, you want to go ahead and make sure that they're at 1,500. I will show you guys I'll leave a link down below to a video to show you guys how to set your stick end points up in your Taranis radio. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and set up our modes, and I usually just use one stick arm, like one switch arming for my arming switch, and you just want to make sure that you click your switch, it's on auto, move that little bar over, and then you just kind of trim it over there and you should be good. Hit save, and then I use my beeper. I'm gonna add a range, and then I'm gonna click on my beeper button. Yeah, this thing moves. Do that again. And you heard it just beep. So we are good. And now I have, let's see what else we got here. I need my flip over after crash. Going ahead and, well, not add link. I don't want to add link. I don't want to link it. Sorry. That's where you can do multiple things with you can do multiple things with one switch. So we're not doing that. I'm just doing it real basic. And this one will drag me all the way to the end. And this one's this switch. Then we're going to go ahead and go to the next one. Launch control. That's a new feature, and I'll be making another video on this to set it up, but it's pretty easy actually. Just go ahead and kind of make it like a switch. Now I'm going to be using that switch. Mode 1. And click save. So that's all done. And then what you want to go ahead and do is I'm gonna skip over the motors right now. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the OSD. So new thing in Betaflight 4.0 is now we have multiple OSDs. We can have 3 different profiles set up for maybe if you have like a quad that's like a long range and a freestyle quad, you can maybe have like GPS data on one and then maybe not the other one. So it gives you a little more options, but I'm only using this quad for freestyle, so I'm only gonna set up one. And how you would switch your OSD profiles is either in here, right there, or you can go ahead and do it through your OSD by holding the sticks in, and then you can do it through your goggles. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I like my warnings on. I'm not using multiple ones, so I'm just gonna unclick those and just use the profile 1. I like to have my RSSI value. I like to have, actually, I'm gonna be changing this over to average voltage because I like to use the average since I use 6-cell batteries as well, and I just can't remember 4-cell and 6-cell. I know it's probably easy and I just have to add it up and then remember it, but I keep forgetting, so I'm just going to do average cell voltage, right? And then my timer 2 is how long it's been armed for, so I'm going to go ahead and drag this kind of where I want it. And let's see here. And make sure too that you always leave this on auto If you switch it to NTSC or PAL, sometimes you have issues with video, especially if the video transmitter or even if the camera doesn't support it. So a lot of times I usually use like NTSC. I'll switch just like that, and then I'll move because I know that like it's right above where I need it. I'll do this. Where's my RSSI? Right there. And you need to get like your goggles on to know exactly where you want it. You can take the logo off there. And then what I do is I just click on auto again before I save it. And then I'm all done. Down here, just like on the other Betaflight releases, you can have your warnings. I'll leave all those things on because I want to know what's going on if I can't arm it. That's a new one, ESC fail. I've never seen that one. Yeah, that's weird. I've never seen that one. And then max speed. I don't need that. Min battery, minimum RSSI. I like to see that at the end of the flight. Max current. I don't use MAW. A lot of people do. So that's good. Black box is on. So yeah. So that's all that. Black box 2. I have enough space. Oh well. I'm not going to worry about that right now. But I'm going to go ahead and go, dude, is the motors tab. What you want to go ahead and do is make sure your props are off. Before you arm it or do anything, click on this. Click on the master. And what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to spin the motors up just a little tiny bit to make sure that they're spinning the right way. And I haven't changed anything, so I'm expecting them all to be spinning. Yep. They're all spinning the right way, and you'll see this diagram. This is the way they need to be spinning. So now we have everything set up. Everything is working. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that back down, that off. And what we're going to go ahead and do is go over to the GitHub. So right here, we have our tuning notes. Now, like I said before, there's some differences between a freestyle and racing quad on the Betaflight 4.0 and how they have it set up. So what we're going to go ahead and do, since this is a freestyle quad, I'm going to take this right here. I'm going to copy it, Control C, and then I'm going to go into my CLI, and then I'm just going to go Control V, hit Enter, and it's going to pretty much change all those settings to the freestyle quad. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is click Save, let's type Save in there. It's going to restart and reboot. I'm just going to go through these really quick to make sure nothing out of no ordinary happened, because since it is, it's stable release, but you never know. Everything looks okay. Didn't look like it changed anything. Motors, OSD. Yep, we are good. So the reason why we're going to go ahead and change that, as they actually changed some of the PIDs. They actually did change a couple other settings, a lot of the filter settings as well, because you want more of a, they kind of explain it. On a race quad, you want more responsiveness, and on a freestyle quad, you want more smoothness, and I think that's the two big differences between the racing quad and the freestyle quad. So if you're doing a racing quad, if you're just flashing with 4.0, then go ahead and copy this one here, and then you should be going ahead and be good. I'm actually going to leave a link to this Betaflight 4.0 tuning notes down in the description below. And I will be doing some follow-up videos on some of the new features. I actually did go over all the new features in Betaflight 4.0, and I'll leave that down in the link down in the description below as well. So you kind of know the gist. This is just pretty much a basic setup just for anybody just wanting to start out. I highly recommend go ahead and fly what I just set up there. You shouldn't need to change too much other things. But once you have it all set up, then you go over and move over to the tuning notes here, and then we can go ahead and start tuning. I'm going to be making a video, like I said before, about the new RPM-based filtering. Now, I talked to one of the developers, and they said that Betaflight's RPM filter, the new filtering for 4.0 that's such a hype right now, that is very experimental. That's why they do not have anything in the UI to be able to enable it or set it up. It's all CLI commands. So I will be making a video on that. Joshua Bardwell did a really good video on it as well. But I will be doing a video on that as well. I have actually tested it in the previously, so I know kind of the gist of how it flies. But I'll be doing that probably in the future, and then I'll be doing some other little Betaflight 4.0 like launch control, showing you how that works. And yeah, so if you found this video very helpful, just go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another video. Peace.